What's up guys, you're watching Life by TCG. Today is going to be a Pauper video. So one of my recent Pauper videos I had a list of a blue-black Teachings deck. I've been playing that a bit in paper, and I've also started playing online, on Magic Online in the leagues, and I've made a pretty big change to the list, and I think I've got a winning record now on those leagues playing the deck. So yeah, I just thought I'd get into that today. So the big change that I made from the previous list was that I cut the 3 Innocent Blood and the Whispers of the Muse, and I added 4 Augur of Bolas. So in case you're not too familiar with Pauper, Augur of Bolas is considered one of the most powerful cards. And, it seems a little bit underwhelming, but that's because it's Pauper and the cards aren't that strong. But having a 1/3 creature that lets you anticipate when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 and take 1 card, is very powerful. The 1/3 body is a very strong anti-aggro creature. It's like a good wall, and then the 1 power can act as a win condition just by attacking after you've used your other control cards to sort of annihilate the opponent's resources. And yeah, it's just a solid card all around. The Innocent Blood is actually not that strong in the format, especially when you're already overloading on edicts, because you have 2 Diabolic Edict and 2 Chainer's Edict. So the Boros tokens deck is gaining a lot of popularity right now, and Edict isn't necessarily what you want against that. Well, it isn't what you want against that, not at all. And then against the low to the ground aggro decks like Stompy, for example, Edicts are also not that great because they have a lot of ways to play around it very easily. They have Nest Invader, Young Wolf, things like that. So Edicts aren't necessarily very good there either. And then, so the only matchup where you really want Edicts is maybe Bogles. But in that case, you're probably favoured enough already anyway with your the Edict package main deck and the counters and stuff. They can let you stabilize to a point where you can deal with their threats, and once you have 4 mana on an empty board in that matchup, you basically win the game instantly anyway. So yeah, the summary is that in most matchups, Augur of Bolas is equally or better as an anti-aggro card compared to Innocent Blood, and then of course in any mid-range or control matchup, the Anticipate effect plus the 1/3 quote-unquote threat is much better than Symmetrical Edict. Of course you can't, or not necessarily can't, but you don't want to play Innocent Blood and Augur of Bolas because you're sacking the creature. You're sacking your own Augur, which nullifies all the upside. And then I cut the Whispers of the Muse because with the 4 Augur I didn't feel like I needed any more of that slow card advantage element. So the rest of the list is pretty much all the same. I'll go through it now quickly in case you've forgotten or you didn't see the previous video. So for removal, we have 1 Tragic Slip, 2 Devour Flesh. So this used to be Diabolic Edict, but I'm playing Devour Flesh now. In some clutch spots, now that you have creatures in your deck, you can target yourself with a Devour Flesh to eat your own Augur and gain 3 life. Against Burn, for example, that can make the difference between winning and losing. So and the opponent's life total is never really that relevant. In some cases with Evincar's Justice it can be, but that's so rare that the upside of being able to gain life seems worth it. If you want, you could just play 1 Devour Flesh, 1 Diabolic Edict. It's really small percentages either way, so don't worry about it too much. 2 Disfigure. I'll try and do this roughly in mana curve order. 2 Chainer's Edict. 1 Echoing Decay. Echoing Decay is really good at the moment because there's so many tokens decks around. You could try and fit another Echoing Decay in the 75 somewhere. Maybe instead of this Splendid Agony, but Splendid Agony is also pretty strong right now as well. One Murder. Somebody suggested that Murder should be Red Flesh, which I think is an acceptable substitute. I haven't had difficulty getting double black, and Stormbound Geist is a pretty popular card right now. So again, this is a sort of very marginal, like thin percentages either way how you want to do that. But I haven't had any issues with Murder so far. And then 2 Evincar's Justice. So that's all the removal. Then the card advantage, we have 4 Mystical Teachings and 4 Think Twice, same as before. 4 Counterspell. So yeah, so these are the counters. 4 Counterspell, 2 Cover-Up, 2 Exclude, and 1 Prohibit. Yep, I think this is a good mix. I don't think you want any more or less Exclude in the main deck. 2 Cover-Up is enough, 4 Counterspell is this, and then 1 Prohibit just as like a 5th Counterspell. I think this works pretty well. I'm happy with it. Then the mana, oh sorry, last spell, Capsize. So I considered cutting Capsize because I found I was having to cast it for its non-buyback mode too frequently, and the buyback never seemed to be that relevant. But people seem really opposed to that, the ones that I talked to, so I'm keeping it in for now. And it does get better when you have Augur in your deck, because you can Capsize buyback your own Augur and then play it again to basically draw cards, so it's kind of like a Whispers of the Muse in that sense. So for now I'm keeping it in. But it's one of those cards where like your perception of it can be really skewed because it seems like a huge deal when you're winning with it, but actually a lot of the time it doesn't really do much. So yeah, onto the mana. So we have 3 Pristine Talisman as mana, and then the rest lands, so 7 islands, 3 swamps, 1 bog, 2 Radiant Fountain, 2 Dimir Guildgate, 4 Dismal Backwater, and 4 Dimir Aqueduct. So yeah, the mana base is the same as last time. Some people have suggested playing Splash. I think the color that you would want to splash is probably red for Magma Spray and also for Hydroblast. But I think it makes the mana too difficult. Like you'd have to lose the fountains for sure. And that's a pretty big deal in the aggressive matchups. And I don't really think the payoff is worth it, so I'm happy to stick with just blue black at the moment. In the last video I was pretty vague about the sideboard, like I wasn't really sure what it should be, and I've definitely got some more concrete thoughts on that now, so I'll just share that with you. 2 Hydroblast is good against Burn and Affinity. Like you don't really have a good answer to resolve Curse of the Pierced Heart without this card, so it's pretty important. And then it's the best way to stop flinging ATOG nonsense. Yep. So it's a little bit narrow, so I don't really want to play any more than 2. But if your meta is like absolutely full of burn, then this is the obvious way to improve the matchup. The other 2 excludes. So basically against any deck that has a creature that draws a card when it comes into play, you pretty much want all 4 of the excludes. Like if your opponent's playing Phyrexian Rager or Chittering Rats or Core Skyfisher or Glint Hawk or Palace Sentinels, like you almost always want all of the exclude. Just because like it's the tempo neutral or tempo positive 2 for 1, and it stops the things that are really good against you, like the Monarch. Yep. If you wanted more of this effect, you can play Soul Manipulation, because you have Augur to bring back with it, but I think that's like enough worse than Exclude, and you don't really need 5 Excludes, so I'm not really interested in that at the moment, but it's something to be aware of. Then the other 2 sideboard cards I'll talk about at once are 1 more Evincar's Justice and 1 more Cover-Up. So the thing with these is that usually one or the other is really bad in any given matchup. So if your opponent's playing Tron or like blue-black or blue-red control, then basically they have nothing to kill with Evincar's Justice. And in those matchups, trying to resolve like a 7 mana sorcery is really stupid. But then on the other hand, if your opponent's playing like Stompy or Red Deck Wins or like any kind of fast matchup like that, or you know, Delver, like attempting to play 4 mana cancel is really dumb, because they're just going to get under you. It's going to be way too slow to ever matter. So usually you have 2 of each of these in the main deck, right? So usually in any given matchup you want to board those out, whichever one is bad, but then you're really light on win conditions. Like in the matchups where Justice is good, you want more of them because it really helps you stabilize on turn 4. And likewise in the matchups where Cover-Up is good, it's not a bad card to have more copies of either, because it helps you exile like part of a flicker loop, or like it stops your opponent chaining their own Cover-Ups together. So yeah, normally most matchups are either like Cover-Up matchups or Justice matchups, and you want to board out whatever one and then board in the other one, or vice versa, you know what I mean? So it's important to have access to more copies of each in the sideboard. Then we have 2 Mephitic Vapors and 1 Cower in Fear. So Cower in Fear is essential because it's an instant, so you can trigger it with Teachings. And then Mephitic Vapors can be this or Shrivel. I think you want 2 of that effect. They both have upsides and downsides, so at the moment I think maybe Shrivel is actually better, but just making this video I couldn't really find any, so I'll just put Mephitic Vapors here for now. Like, Surveilling 2 is pretty strong, but costing 1 more mana is also quite bad in some situations. Like, it gives your opponent 1 extra turn to put an aura on their Boggle or something like that. So I think Shrivel might be better, but if you want to play this deck, maybe just try 1 of each and see for yourself. But yeah, I think you want 3 of that effect. It's pretty good against Stompy, and the tokens deck is really popular right now. So and it's fine if anybody's still playing the like Fairies version of Delver as well. So yep. Then 1 Crypt Incursion, just some extra life gain. 2 Complete Disregard. So the main reason why you play this spell is for Undying creatures, so Stormbound Geist is the main one. That's really popular right now with everybody. The meta game's becoming like a little bit inbred around like the strength of blue-red Delver. So Stormbound Geist is becoming a really popular card, and it's really good against you because all your removal is like destroy effects or edicts. So you want to have a way to just straight up 1-for-1 kill it on the battlefield, and Complete Disregard is the easiest way to do that. Maybe you don't need 2, maybe only 1 is fine because you can just tutor it when you need it, but I think you definitely want at least 1. Then 2 Dispel. So Dispel is pretty good, not only versus like Bird, the control decks, the combo decks, but it's also pretty good against the blue-black Delver, the foil version. It's not as good versus the Furies Delver, the blue-red or mono-blue, because they have like Spellstutter Sprite to catch Dispel, which makes it a lot worse. And they also don't have so many like crucial instance, but and you can also, like, in those matchups the sweepers are much stronger, but against blue-black, like, the sweepers aren't very good, and they're also leaning very hard on like foil and gush in order to like keep up in terms of card economy. So having 2 Dispel to just answer either of those and just keep up your like 1-for-1 game plan is really strong. And then your Edicts and your Complete Disregard should hopefully be able to let you pull ahead. And then the last card is just 1 Annul, so it's like fine versus Boggles and Affinity, but that card's not very impressive and I don't think it's essential, so you could probably replace the Annul with something else. So the most flexible cards in the sideboard, I think, are the 1 Annul. I think the 2nd Dispel and the 2nd Complete Disregard might not be needed, but I would keep all the rest of it for sure. I think so. At least 1 Dispel, at least 1 Complete Disregard, Crypt Incursion, 2 Vapors / Shrivel, 1 Cower and Fear, 1 Justice, 1 Cover-Up, 2 Exclude, and 2 Hydroblast. Yep. So yeah, I think with these changes, I think I have a positive win rate in the friendly leagues on MTGO with this now. So that's nice. If you like this kind of like hardcore control deck, I'm sure like some people have been turned off by the fact we're playing creatures now. But if you want to play blue-black Merfolk and Pauper, this is the way to do it. So I hope you guys like that video. This is Life by TCG signing out.